the status quo really isn't working, and it's not working for a lot of people here. And it's not something that, like Daphna was saying, newcomers to the profession, newcomers to the area, people of different ages, it's not working for a lot. I wanted to start off with something positive though. What is one thing that you think is working? What's kind of a model of the missing middle in the South Bay that you think might be something that could be improved? And if you don't think there's a model here, something from somewhere else that might be something that we might start to think about.
Well, I mean, I can't say that it's the missing middle, but something that I think is positive and is starting to take root is just the construction of more AD, accessory dwelling units. I only see that increasing, and so I do see that as a step in a positive direction.
Across the country, and actually as I've traveled around the world, I've seen that there are a lot of different school districts in different countries and out across the United States actually do have teacher housing. So we're behind. It's not surprising, but we are definitely behind. So teacher housing is one way of going. In the district that I teach in, I don't teach here, I live here. But in our district, the district offers down payments for the teachers, no interest loans, so that teachers can actually move into a new apartment. Believe it or not, most of our teachers, our young teachers, can't even afford to move because they can't afford the first and last month's rent and deposit and moving expenses. They can't even afford to do that. So our district actually has no interest loans, which is great, and it's great for the renters now. And it used to be that they could use them for deposits on houses. The housing is so far out of sight, the district can't even offer that much anymore. But I definitely think that teacher housing has to be the way to go for the future.
So just looking at the trends that are happening locally, I'm really heartened to see that there's been a kind of a sea change in the attitude towards building new housing. I think what people are starting to realize that even though there's been a housing crisis for a very long time, especially hitting low-income workers, but as rents have gone up, it's now starting to affect middle-income workers, and people are seeing their kids move away, they're seeing their family members move away, and they're seeing their communities essentially becoming ghost towns. And so that's helped move forward, I think, a more pro-housing, a more pro-new development attitude in the South Bay. Now looking at models nationally for what we could do, I really look towards Seattle as kind of the leader for new kinds of thinking about housing. They've done things like reducing parking standards as one of the ways to reduce the overall cost of housing. They've integrated housing development with transit to make it to where people can sort of free themselves from car ownership. And they've also targeted tax benefits and tax credits at housing development that is affordable to middle-class people and middle-class salaries, as well as creating funding mechanisms that broadly tax the entire city in order to support affordable housing. And I don't know if you've heard recently, they've also asked their biggest employers to also pitch in to start funding and addressing some of this housing affordability crises.
Those are some really good examples. I have time for one more question. I was going to ask a question about parking, but I think I'm going to save that for two more questions. Okay. So one of the most contentious issues oftentimes around growth is parking, and the degree to which we've over-required off-street parking historically. We've created these built environments often with large parking lots, lots of land that could otherwise be used for housing and other uses are now devoted to parking. What do you see as kind of some of the politics around changing attitudes around parking here in the Bay Area? What a way that we can think about, perhaps reducing or eliminating or unbundling parking?
So I've been told that Prop 13 is the third rail of California politics, but locally, what I found is that reducing parking standards is actually the third rail of California politics. I think people like being able to park in front of their house. I think a lot of people feel as though like the space in front of their house belongs to them just as much as the house does. And unfortunately it doesn't, right? It belongs to the city and to all of us. As far as new construction, this idea that if you reduce the parking, in a lot of ways what you'll be doing is essentially throwing the parking off into the side streets, into the neighborhoods, and no one will be able to park. Obviously, I think there are a couple of really good, smart solutions to this, right? One is having a heavily regulated and heavily enforced local parking permit system in order to make sure that the only people who park in your neighborhood are people who live in your neighborhood. And then secondly, working with the development community, affordable housing and market rate housing to make sure that we start looking at what are people's actual car usage, right? And how do you start working to reduce that? So can you throw in zip cars? Can you throw in electric bikes? Can you throw in eco-passes, which is the VTA's route pass program, in order to make sure that even if you are providing fewer parking spaces, people are still able to get around. I just read that Palo Alto ran a study recently about its parking capacity, and they just realized that they never hit capacity. It just completely overbuilt on parking.
So I commute 17 miles to work. There's no public transportation. I can't take a zip car, I can't take a line bike, I can't take any of that. There's just no way. I actually tried to figure it out one day. If I did, it would be 3.5 hours on buses and 2 miles of walking. I figured I'd get up about 3 in the morning and maybe get to school. So that's making the assumption, I completely agree with, we need a lot of transportation options, and I understand about the unbundling parking. But the bottom line is, until every single school district has housing near it, or every single public entity that has people that aren't being paid enough to live there, it's not going to work just to get rid of parking. And for seniors as well, because they need to have great public transit options in order to get to wherever it is that they want to go. And let's face it, our valley does not yet have it. So I say start the big dig and come up the peninsula.
Okay, well, my last question is going to be a bit of a lightning round. Given that we have some elected officials in the room, we have a lot of thought leaders, you have to make one policy recommendation in terms of increasing the supply of missing middle housing and options for teachers.
Yeah, for me, it would be taking the underutilized business corridors around the city of San Jose that already have a lot of legal, non-conforming, missing middle housing in it, and make them legal, and allow mixed-use residential, and allow these small property owners to control their property and take away the red tape.
Can I cheat up just a little bit for everybody? Sorry.
Sure.
So, very specifically about teacher housing, I think the biggest thing that local elected officials could do is to think about a regional approach to solving the teacher housing crisis and problem. There are some disparities in access to land, to capital, and let's face it, to political will throughout the South Bay. And so being able to sort of trade off a little bit of that between school districts and between cities would really help move a lot of this forward. And then the other thing that I would also think about is that, I love teachers, my best friend's a teacher, but I think we should also be thinking about the fact that there are people who are cleaning those buildings, who are serving in those cafeterias, who are mowing those lawns and those fields, and maybe housing as well. And so when we're thinking about missing middle housing, we should also be thinking about affordable housing.
I think the state, as it passes out its bond money, and goes through multiple bond cycles and whatever it's going through. Instead of just refurbishing buildings and building new buildings on school campuses, needs to include as a requirement teacher housing. In a regional perspective, definitely, if they're going to put some of their money together, they can certainly put it together with another school district. I think we have 19 school districts in San Jose. I don't even remember. Does somebody know? It's 19 school districts in the city of San Jose. So if they could all get together and build together, that would be helpful. But the state needs to put the money behind it as well.
So, well, is it working? So with that, I hate to cut this panel off because it's a great panel. Test, okay. But thank you. Yeah, give everyone applause. Thank you very much. And it's a great segue. We have to thank Sal, Jesse, and Art who are, you know, as Asn said, they'll be here cleaning up after we're gone. So thank you guys. And our, yeah, if you want to exit stage.